everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on another wonderful episode of our Two Kobo podcast. And I have here with me JamJam herself.
Yes,
How you
JamJam
doing?
of the cable.
Yeah, my name
Madam
is Victor, by
Cable.
the way, the one and only Victor.
You don't start.
One and only Victor. You can't have another one.
We should just go on Twitter or Google search and type Victor.
But
and you see.
every other Victor is just
counterfeit.
a counterfeit. There's only one on the show.
Original.
Yeah.
Ah.
So and today
Hello,
we want to
guys,
talk about the elections, right?
yes.
And I know we are ready for it, and I know that you're also ready for it.
Yes, and you're ready to listen as well. We'll be right back after this short time out to discuss the election issues proper.
Introducing the Cable Dinner, Nigeria's first disability inclusive news app. Everyone, including persons with disability, gets access to the news, analysis, and fact checks by the Cable without stress.
Welcome back, guys. Like we said earlier, we'll be talking about the 2023 elections, a wholesome review of the process, and part of what we saw play out during the polls is that the INEC Beavers IREV issue, there was the LP influence, the LPOB influence, because he came and disrupted the status quo. We also had issues with violence across certain states, but then it was most prominent in Lagos. We also have, of course, every elections there are winners and losers. So we have those that would rant and accuse INEC and all parties of courts. Yes, of course, they went up in court, and then. But it's unfortunate that after such a rigorous process, we usually, in most cases, end up leaving it to the judiciary to determine. So why can't we just go to the polls, end this there? There would be issues, but they're not issues that are at the end. So why don't we leave if it's going to play out like that often, should we be leaving the election issues to the judiciary?
True.
So we see that the courts in the end up deciding how the winners or who the winners are. Yeah. So some of these issues are played out, and we had a number of persons across several states that covered the election. For you, during the election, what's it happened? Which state do you find most interesting? People looked forward to certain states and certain instances because of the powers at play and the persons involved. Which state were you looking forward to?
True. So before the election, before the whole noise and everything, the G5 states, I was looking forward to the G5 governors and their state. For instance, I was looking forward to Rivers State. I really want to know what the outcome will happen in Rivers State. And the reason is because Wiki has actually been making a lot of noise. And I wanted to know how powerful his influence really is in that election, because we had the issue of how you must go, and from the initial stage we knew that it started off from when Peter Obi was not given the presidential ticket. He left and came into the Labour Party, and
LUP.
then 27
LUP.
But then he came up
I hope that guy is not going to sue me, because this one that he said he has trademarked it. Catch me if you can.
But then again, we came up with the Labour Party, and that was a movement. And because the truth is, Nigerians have been looking for a third force. We're looking for
something different.
The third option.
Beyond the ruling party and the opposition.
True, and because every election we kept saying that we have to pick between the devil and the deep blue sea. Then
so what's the third one now?
Of course, you're not asking me that. but then we saw the third force came in, and it gathered momentum. And
to be sincerely speaking, I did not know that he was going to pull that much votes, that much support. I mean, he won Lagos. He took Lagos from Bola Tinubu, and that is supposed to be his strongest hold, his state where he's supposed to have more support and more votes, and he took that. That was a major highlight.
I will even take Lagos to be the headquarters of obedience.
Well, maybe because the number of them are here, yes, but then you see that people that are accusing INEC of, or say that the process was not very transparent, and you want to wonder that for the APC to have lost Lagos if they really wanted to manipulate the figures or influence the poll. It's a strong message. It's sending out a big message for APC, for Tinubu particularly, to lose Lagos. So if the elections, makes you want to ask that if the election really was absolutely not that free or fair, would the party go ahead and lose that state?
The election. So another thing again that happened during the election was the possible merger between the Kwankwaso guys and the Labour Party guys. I felt that would have been a game changer.
All of the candidates, everybody's saying that we are coming out because we want to serve, we want to help the people. But if you look at it critically, it would appear that everyone is putting his or her interests first. If you're so positive about, you're so concerned about the people, and you feel like you are the only one that can help them, a merger between the PDP, the LP, and the NNPC would have outrightly thrown away the APC.
Sure.
So is it that for an Atiku or an Obi or an Kwakwanso, they did not see any other, they did not feel like between the three of them there's a way that they could have,
come together?
Could Obi have had Kwakwanso as his deputy? If that had happened, what would we have seen play out? Yeah,
so imagine the because there's also a play of power play and ego playing out here. So imagine a Kwankwaso going for a vice for an Atiku. For
Obi, yes.
So it will look like if it's actually losing his
but then,
which also was the same reason you can see
yes,
that Obi could not be the vice for Atiku.
Yeah, so everybody is trying to say, no, I am more relevant than what you are giving to me. So you would rather lose the election. But if you're so interested in serving the people, why don't you take a step back and contribute to your quota, even if you allow another person to take the front stage? And that's one thing sometimes I wonder. That's why is it that when government is elected, why is it that it is solely left to decide how things roll out, how things play out? So even if I lose the election, why can't I, instead of the usual trend that we see, parties criticizing the ruling parties, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, how about do this like this, do this like that?
Criticism.
After all, it's you are not interested in what the end result is that you want the people to gain. You want them to have better life. So if that idea, if that that advice is going to eventually help the people, why don't you go ahead and suggest it to the ruling party? Like, no, you shouldn't do it. Though they do sometimes, but most times you find out that it's just blame game or abuse. Is not exactly like encouraging you, or advising the party that go ahead and do this.
True. And also if you check the numbers from what Tinubu won with 8+ million, and then looking at Atiku and Labour Party,
it was a really tensely contested election.
Exactly. And that also, I think that the president-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu also said it in his acceptance speech. I know you did not vote for me and all that, because if you check the margin, it's just quite
and we saw what played out with the 3K states.
Exactly, right.
Yeah, and we have to acknowledge the role that the Beavers played in that. Even when some persons were asking me why the election was still going on that what's happening, what is going on, then they were ready to release results from Kano, Katsina, and the like. So, and I'm like, hold on, let's see what the KKK states are going to bring, because I was expecting the regular millions. Okay, I was expecting not just millions, the big millions. But then when the results started trickling in, I'm like, what's happening? So people are asking that, is it voter apathy, or is that those numbers were never ever real at any instance? The Beavers just did his job. It did his job. Yeah. So some people kept on, confusing the function of the Beavers with that of the IRF. The virtual uploading of results, transmission of results. So people use that to judge the outcome of the election a lot, but because they could not see the results real life from what they captured during the process, while the process was ongoing. So you're seeing the likes of, let's say you're seeing Bola Tinubu has 8.7 million votes. That's quite. It came first, then followed by Atiku, then Obi. Then Obi is claiming that he won the election. Atiku is claiming that he won the election. And they were actually meant to have just one winner. They're exactly saying they won the election. They are saying that, okay. No, so that's even very funny, because... Have we ever seen an election where the people that lost will just come and say, I lost this election? Sometimes they concede, they are objective enough to say that, okay, from what played out, take a look at what happened in Oyo with the Makinde and the APC guy Folarin. It was evident, it was very obvious that the PDP won that election, and it would have been hard. It would have been, unreasonable to an extent for the APC to come out and say no. We want to challenge the outcome of these results. So
because it was very obvious.
It was obvious that he won. People were already celebrating, jubilating before
he was actually a popular candidate as well.
Yes, and then I think for El-Rufai to have said at the point, like even the APC knew that it would be hard for them. He said it that Makinde has been a good governor and it would be hard for them to defeat him. But of course, they still had to go ahead and present their candidates, back him, and urge him to go on and contest, and he lost. And Folarin was humble enough to come out and say, okay, yes, he might not necessarily have congratulated Makinde, but he accepted that, yes, you won this election. There's this rivalry between the both of them, but yet he tries again at that time.
In this election, when we look at the presidential election, who do you think is more like a popular candidate?
Of course, given the whole social media vibes, it is our LP guy. It was Obi.
Then again, they used to say that election or politics is in the grassroots, and then you see the likes of Obi won the South altogether. He won also the Southeast.
Where he won well, yes,
right.
He didn't just manage it, he won it it with his full chest.
True. So and then let's talk about the Wike factor in the election.
Wike.
The Wike factor, the G5 governors factor.
I feel like they just, I don't know what it takes. They sacrificed for the other governors that were contesting senatorial seats. They lost out. Even we saw in the senatorial election in Oyo, APC won it because of all the issues that the G5 influence had on the PDP. I cannot even categorically tell if they had supported Atiku, those 5 governors, if we would have in any way helped him to win the election. But there are other factors. I don't know if that would have single-handedly put him. I think
one thing that Wike successfully did, or the G5 successfully did, is that they distracted. They kind of...
They disrupted.
First of all, they distracted people.
There is no denying the fact that they put a hole, even if it's just one hole in the sink. Their goal is
to tell them, they wanted to make Atiku understand that without us, you can't win this election. Imagine PDP in Lagos.
I don't know if he acknowledges that. I don't know if he feels like he lost because they did not support him.
He can't even say that publicly. So let's look at instance again. This is the same tactics that Wike is doing. Look at Kogi State. Wike is coming out to tell Dunomilaya that you are not a governor material. It's going to cause a lot of issues in the
because
PDP.
That is the PDP. He wants to be the candidate.
It's going to cause a lot of issues with the PDP in that state. And before you know, PDP might not be that popular. It is fighting from
for
within.
A state that is already in the hands of the APC.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's basically, you imagine seeing what happened in the national, in the presidential election happening in the state level in Kogi State. That's basically what is going to actually happen. Again, let's also talk about the court issues. People are in court, and then the popularity of candidates. And that's even very tricky, because one time you feel like candidate is popular in your maybe let's assume you're following only Labour Party people on Twitter. It means that your candidate
would even be thrown at you. That is what you focus on. You would not even know what is happening with, because that's what you want to see. That is what is in your mind. That's what's projected.
And then if that did not go down your way, it's look as if you've been cheated, right? So what do you think?
It is good that they are even going to court. Instead of.
But this is the first time a matter will be in court, and we are discussing, like, people are discussing it outside in court. So it's really very, very funny, because
it is okay that they are going to the court instead of inciting violence or whatever. Let them go out and throw their tantrums in the legal circles and let the system do its work. Let it go ahead and tell us, fix the flaws, whatever electoral flaws that may have happened. When we come back from this short break, we'll be talking about all the violence and ethnic sentiments and issues that we witnessed during this polls.
Introducing the Cable Dinner, Nigeria's first disability inclusive news app. Everyone, including persons with disability, gets access to the news, analysis, and fact checks by the cable without stress.
back, guys. You're still listening to our Two Kobo podcast brought to you by the cable newspaper, and we are reviewing the 2023 elections, and we're just going to talk about the violence that played out during the polls in Lagos and the ethnic and religious sentiments that we saw during the elections and even post-election, because these issues are there, calling for, it's not beginning to question, is it that it's something that has been residual in us as a people, and we're just waiting for an opportunity to, unbox that feeling, whatever it is that has been there. Or I'm wondering that is it that this election just created it? I don't think that. I feel like that bitterness has always been there, and then we saw an opportunity, and everybody's like, just hey, no, yeah.
So the for me, for Lagos, we started hearing things like, the first time I heard something
there is of course no denying the fact that there was some form of intimidation against persons that wanted to vote for the LP, and we saw what happened with MC Oluomo, that video where he was saying that you could not vote for the Labour when you didn't want to see Igbos. We saw that it's not like it's something that there is no downplaying the fact that these things happen, and I'm really looking forward to what the result of the investigation of the police will be on that issue, because it was something that was quite painful for people to have seen something so glaring, and then the police promised that it was going to investigate it, and then we're not here. We want to see the outcome of that, so people can be rest assured that you cannot just come out with so much confidence and intimidate us and insult us, and you're going to go scot-free. It creates a sense of a second-class citizen, sort of. So if you're not in the leading party, if your candidate does not have the power, then you are going to suppress and intimidate others. Yeah,
let's also talk about the first statement I heard initially was people saying that Lagos is no man's land. And the Labour Party candidate, or the Labour Party, the obedient, they believe that word was actually gotten from the APC people started propagating that word. They feel like it was just a strategy to get people hungered, right? Because that word in itself hungered a lot of persons, and then we saw what happened during the election.
Is, coming from the APC, why would that party feel like Lagos is no man's land? It is a land it's in the southwest. Yes, you could classify it as a Yoruba state in quotes. So I don't see why they would be pushing that agenda.
Because the Labour Party candidate, it's alleged, she's not even an alleged, because he has, I think the mom is Igbo and the dad is Yoruba.
He has this Igbo,
So people feel like, an Igbo person wants to be governor of Lagos State. What will happen? And that gives a lot of dust. People started having issues with that, and I think that also that contributed to the violence we saw in Lagos. People feel threatened, and I spoke to people that they don't even have enough information of what was actually happening on that day, and they just feel threatened that somebody's coming to take over Lagos.
Something that happened is that I fear that we may have voted in persons that were actually just testing the waters during the elections. There are some this is not to discredit or disparage the efforts that certain candidates put into the election, but there is a way that it was almost apparent, or it's something that you would not expect for the NNPP to have won the presidential elections. But he put in the effort. So especially with the state houses of assembly and the federal constituencies, I fear that some persons felt, I am voting this party but top to bottom. So there were some candidates that were in that race just because they wanted to bear the toga of candidates of these during this election. That is the toga that they just wanted to bear. And then some people did not even know them. They don't know who they were voting for. They just went ahead and voted those persons because they belong to a certain party. And I feel like they might not have been ready because they did not expect to win. So they might not have put in the work.
They just took opportunity of
I think actually the people that threw the opportunity at them. So I feel like we may have elected persons that are not ready for this role, and then in the coming years we are going to feel the impact. Hopefully they will be able to step up, and perform as expected.
The question will be like, those that have been there, what have they been doing? So let's try new hands. And then again, I want to believe that the constitution, in quotes, of the particular party, let's assume a Labour Party candidate winning a particular state, we have one of them, that is Abia State. I want to believe that the Labour Party has a strong manifesto that can actually be push down to the state and also to the maybe the legislative and all that, so I want to believe that will work also, because if we look at it from that angle, we saw what happened to Bank W. That in my, for me, I don't know why I felt bad about that, because I think maybe I just have a bias. I wanted him to win.
Well,
I felt like he put the effort.
And there was this body shaming thing that happened after the other guy won the poll. People were like, oh, who did we even vote for? Because of the physique of Banky W, that was the reason. Because he's a celebrity, that was the reason some persons just wanted to vote for him.
No, I think because the first time he ran 4 years, he wanted to go for the first time, he did not, and he waited for the next 4 years, and he went to PDP. People felt like he should have gone for Labour Party instead of PDP. But then
some people thought that he was the Labour Party candidate, and that was why. And that is exactly what I'm saying. People thought that he was the Labour Party candidate, and that was why they voted for him, unknowingly voting another person.
Or could it also be that people weren't exactly sure, but they just felt like Labour Party anywhere?
Yeah, anywhere.
Labour
Top
Party.
to bottom.
Yes, anywhere
so
Labour Party.
So the Peter Obi effect, we can see it, touching on other candidates. So they enjoyed the benefits of the obedience movement, not necessarily because people have the same confidence or people expect that much from them as much as they expected from Peter Obi, but just because they belong to that party, so he rubbed off he rubbed off that advantage on them. True. And then they carried
and they
it
have
on.
a lot to do in the sense that they need to prove themselves.
Yes,
they need to prove that Labour Party has something to do, because
I would be really looking forward to what will happen, that movement, if they would be able to sustain it after these elections, because we saw that disruption. I feel like if talk about structure, okay? Yeah. So we are just questioning where is the structure. So now we are convinced to an extent that I think the myth of structure has been demystified. Yeah. So how much of structure do you need to actually emerge and disrupt the status quo, or even win an election entirely?
One of the slogan for them is that the people are the structure,
and we have seen that.
We have seen it play out that it's possible to actually win an election, especially when the people get your back. And I think Nigerians got the back. A lot of Nigerians got the back of the Labour Party candidate. And then look at it. Look at the election, and he was able to get some states House of
Lagos and yes.
He got some state House of Assembly. Not to talk about the federal constituencies, and we have one governor, Abia State governor, and many people felt like Enugu State would have actually also gone for the Labour Party, but that is a case for the courts to decide if the matter is in court. But then if we look at it from Abia State, he won. Abia State governor won, right? And it's Labour Party candidate. So we're looking at now. Nobody is going to say, let's check Peter Obi antecedents. Yes. People will, in the next 4 years, people will be checking what has
all the other
Alex done in Abia State.
So
what has it done? So they have a lot to do if this movement must be sustained.
And they shouldn't just relax. I feel like if they feel like the people are the structure, politics is something that is planned, that is built, that is. I understand they know how they play their game, but right? I feel like if they are able to put in the work, and we have much more credible, better, freer, fairer elections in the next 4 years, there is a huge chance that we'll be seeing more states. We'll see more states go to them, and if possible, who knows? Yeah, so a repeat of 2015.
if you look at let me say the young people. Yeah. Like I talk about the NSAS people, the NSAS movement. Let's talk about the presidential election and the governorship. For me personally, I was actually working on that day, right?
We all work talking about how a number of persons are disenfranchised because of where you have to be.
And another thing again is that the energy I felt during the presidential election was different from the governorship. For the governorship, I was being sluggish. I was like, oh God. There was this so after the candidate, the president was announced, there's this coldness in this country for me. And then the governorship, there's this calmness. So the question is that a lot of persons felt disappointed. A lot of Labour Party supporters, obedient, they felt disappointed. Now the question will not be that, do you think they will have that energy? Because they said beavers and the HRF were one of the reasons they came. People traveled all over to come to Nigeria just to vote. People use their money to do campaign and everything. Now, do you think that they will have that same energy in the next 4 years?
Well, I think it's actually possible because, like I said, there were a lot of there were many doubting Thomases. We did not expect that it would be this huge in
it's Sabinu's voice.
So it's Sabinu's voice. So when it's like, oh, we can actually do this. So if we just come out a little bit more, if we just put in a little bit energy, compared to if Peter Obi had won something like 3 million votes, they're like, oh, so we're actually not that strong. So I feel like it's going to be more of an encouragement than a discouragement in the coming years. They're going to feel like, okay, we can actually do it. So if we had had a rerun, a supplementary election, a second election for the presidential election, I feel like he might have won that election.
Yeah. So I also give it to him. In less than 1 year, look at what he was able to pull. In less than 1 year, compared to what Atiku pulled.
He just enjoyed the goodwill of the people.
The goodwill of the people,
and then he built on that. I hope
and he kept telling people what they need to hear.
Well, I hope he...
There's a way he talks. And it just gives you this, how will I put it now?
Is that passion I see in your
eyes?
No,
it's not passion. No. I wanted to mimic him. There's this voice, this tone that he has, and I was just like...
It's reassuring, actually.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, and it's telling you...
It feels like he can feel what you're feeling and he can see what...
Do you know why I sometimes don't get carried away by this? I think I saw it in 2015.
It's always the same
I saw
story.
it in 2015. You know, when President Muhammadu Buhari came in, funny enough, churches were supporting Buhari. A lot of people supported him. People that you felt like...
He also enjoyed that.
He enjoyed that grace. And then he came in, I was telling you, I am for everybody, I am for nobody. Genge. That was like
the highlight of
it. I remember that they were like, okay, this man sounds so promising. You know? And before then, I was present at the merger of the party that came together. Yeah. I was at the merger and I heard Bola Ahmed Tinubu spoke that day. God. You know, Tinubu was talking that day. I was there and he was sounding, we have something, change has become upon us. We need to, it was very, very
you were looking forward to what was coming.
Yeah, what was coming. And a journalist tapped to me and said, bro, we've heard this many times. Don't get excited. And then that,
but you can't help it because we are optimistic.
Exactly. Because we really want it to work.
At a point, it has to work. At a point, it has to have to work.
True.
Yes.
There's one thing we need to also correct, that people feel like journalists don't want the government to work.
Why?
Because they feel like you have this, but especially when let's assume that you're reporting a particular story. And
we are in this economy,
Exactly.
We are affected by everything.
When the cashless thing started, did we not suffer it?
And because you are a journalist, you have to be mobile. You have to.
In fact, yours is even worse because you still have to be mobile. So most people feel like because we are journalists, we don't want something good for the government.
Because we report bad news.
Exactly.
Bad news sells. But then when we see the commendable things, we
also report it. So that's the part I said that okay, this I really want the president-elect to really work. The people he's bringing on board to actually make it work, right? We saw the Buhari administration. Some of that, it was more like you are, should I say, you're paying people for their diligence for bringing you into power.
For the role they played in your emergence.
You can't deny that that will happen.
Atiku said it. He said those that cannot deliver their states or their words would not get appointments and contract, which should not be. And that's got to be scared. Like, why should you be so confident to come out and say that? You've already given us an idea that it might not be based on merit or credibility.
Based on hard work.
Yes.
Based on what you
but
did.
Because you were able to. What if they are unable to, perform in that roles based on that is placing politics over the people. And which shouldn't be. So for whatever or whoever is going to make up the Tinubu cabinet, we are really looking forward to.
I'm seriously looking forward to, because he has a lot of work to. Because someone said that if only they know what they're entering, they will become. Like if only they know what unless you're not coming in to work. Unless you're not coming in to really, really work, then you can probably just relax. But there's a lot of work to be done. And now Nigeria feels so, I think that a lot of persons feel they lost passion.
Well, that is there.
A lot of persons love passion in the process.
It happens. Even when you get rejection mails. Yeah, you can't help. Because it's not...
This is like a rejection mail, right? Okay.
Yeah. If there is no certainty, of course, you could have put in the hard work and had your projections.
True.
But there are a lot of things that happen when elections play out, and things can just change. Like,
but then the process, it's not just the process is not just going to be fair. It must be seen to be fair.
I think what INEC has, what we've seen play out with INEC is that when we had the 2019 elections, it appears that we took 2 steps forward and then 1 backward.
Yeah.
Yes, people are really angry with the INEC, and they are kind of blaming the commission for the biases or the thoughts that they have about how the election played out. So INEC has to, as coming election, when the other elections come, they have a lot to do. They have to work on earning the trust. That's first of all getting back to where we are, and then moving forward. So,
and I think that might actually be hard, because first of all, the Beavers is saying that they want to reduce this outrageous numbers of people, that the ghost, let me call it the ghost voters, right? And I think it actually worked.
Yes,
did,
we
right?
saw it.
And then,
I think to a large extent, Beavers did its work.
So the next thing will not be like it should be the automatic upload of the result. I worked with the Ekiti State when we did the Ekiti State, and I saw how it worked. The Anambra State elections, it worked. In fact, it was magical. We are looking at the IRF portal. We were like, oh, this is going to get improved when it comes to the general election. And then we saw the general election, and then I was like, I was waiting. Where's the result?
I was really optimistic, because when we saw what happened in Oshun, and I'm like, but what happened? Why? There is Beavers. How did that play out? How was the overvoting? So perhaps we should take consolation in the fact that we are still testing the waters. We want to improve upon some of these technologies that are emerging. So we are hopeful that in the coming years we can perfect to a large extent some of these things, and they can help us achieve that credibility that we hope, that we want to see in our elections.
Or perhaps maybe it cannot just work out. But to a large extent also it worked during the governorship election.
Yeah, well, it did.
It worked during the governorship election.
But then if you were saying that the major highlight of the Beavers is to weed out overvoted, and then you still see it happening, you're beginning to wonder that,
what happened between
that fear was even there before the general elections. Like, okay, if this thing can happen, what is the assurance that it's not going to play out again? So that alone can make people wonder that, okay, perhaps something has gone wrong, something did go wrong, and that is why this particular candidate of my choice did not emerge.
We have the Kogi State election is yet to come. We have the Bayelsa.
Have those.
So
Anexi has some chances to redeem itself.
Yes. To gain the trust of people need to know that these 2 elections that we have must actually be seen to be free and fair.
For me, the major highlight, the peak of it, was what we saw with the LP, what the Labour Party did. What they were able to. So it kind of redefines
politics,
our electoral process. I don't think that. So when 2015 happened, so it's like with every election, general election circle, we are going to be seeing that we are emerging. Things are changing. There is no more static rules. There are no written rules. These rules are flexible. Things can happen. So don't go in with that confidence that, no, I am going to win this thing. A lot of things can change.
Sure.
And so get your mind ready that if these things play out, I might not win the election. So that, especially if the electoral body is able to perform its role to the best of its ability, and people see that this process is transparent, and you already have it at the back of your mind that, well, this thing happened in 2015, this happened in 2023, this happened in 2019. So let's have an open mind that something can happen and I may not win.
Yeah, and it also gives us with the fact that the people are the structure, the people are very important.
Beyond focusing on the rivalry between them and other political parties, channel that energy into the people, so that they can see that you're placing them first.
Because people are no longer looking at rice, beans and all that. I think we are moving away from that. We are actually moving away from that.
To what?
Yeah.
We can't deny the fact that vote buying is still there.
It is still there,
but then
right?
we saw that it wasn't as rampant. It wasn't so glaring as previous elections. And we would like to continue this conversation. It doesn't end here. We would like to have your thoughts on the whole process, how it played out. What do you think went wrong? Or what is it that, what are your reservations, and how do you think these issues can be addressed from all quarters, from every party, parties, the federal government might, INEC's part and role in the election? So we would like to have your your takes on that, your suggestions, and follow us on our social media platforms, The Cable NG, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We would really love to have your recommendations, your suggestions, your feedback, so that we can serve you better, because we are people first, you know.
And you people are the structure.
Yeah, you're our structure. Thank you guys for listening. I am JamJam.
And I'm Victor.
And
Do
this
have a
is
nice
your
day.
Two Kobo podcast. Bye. Peace
Cheers.
out.
Yeah.